Are you supposed to be Jesus? Is that your whole thing?
I am Jesus. Thank you, everybody.
That's awfully heretical, but okay.
Well, I heard you kept saying my name, so I wanted to show up. You know,
Okay.
I'm busy trying to save the planet from this apocalypse going on. You know what I mean? Jesus H. Christ, but you can just call me Josh. All right, why don't you ask me the questions? I'm sure you have plenty of them.
Okay, what's the Hebrew word for father?
Man, let me tell you something. Abba.
I'm sorry?
Abba.
That's the Greek word for father.
Yeah, Greek, whatever. Point I'm trying to say is this,
Yeah,
man.
you don't even make a good Jesus.
Whatever.
What language did Jesus speak?
Aramaic.
Okay, tell me one thing
But
in
you have
Aramaic.
to understand, man, I have to come here to speak to you now. You don't speak Aramaic, otherwise you and me would be speaking Aramaic.
Oh, okay,
I have to
right.
speak this kind of dumbed down stuff for you.
The enemy has come to lie, steal, cheat, and destroy. What did Jesus say?
I said love your neighbor.
Wrong.
And how is that working out, by the way?
The enemy has come to lie,
I'm pretty sure
steal...
I said love your
Hold on
neighbor,
a second. You're not
love
even a good
God,
Jesus. It's one of the most.
and love
It's one of
yourself.
the most popular verses in the Bible.
You know, what happened to Charlie Kirk was a tragedy. Anybody that gets shot for their political views, assassinated, it's just wrong. It doesn't matter if you're on the right or the left. When we have gotten to a point where people are getting shot at a college campus for expressing their views and having open dialogue, then our country is going down the toilet fast, okay? I didn't watch a lot of Charlie Kirk stuff. I did watch some of it. I thought he was a great debater. He was pretty outspoken. Although I noticed that a lot of things that he said weren't really true. They're kind of contorted or twisted. So I don't know if that was intentional or he just read things on his side of the political view and then just ran with it. So I don't know if that was intentional or not. Like this is an example of just saying things that are just not true. So in this Jesus Returns to Debate Charlie Kirk, this guy dressed up as Jesus and he's kind of mocking Kirk and Jesus. And so Kirk says, well, okay, what's the Hebrew word for father? The guy answers it correctly, Abba. And then Charlie Kirk immediately dismisses him. No, that's the Greek word. No, the Greek word for father is pater. So Charlie Kirk get that wrong, and then he asked the guy who's dressed up as Jesus, what language did Jesus speak? He says Aramaic. So the guy got that right too, and then Charlie Kirk went on to something else. It's like, it's like, I know, I mean, I guess he's trying to prove that this guy's not Jesus or something, but I thought it was kind of funny that Charlie Kirk would immediately dismiss the guy's factual statement about what the Hebrew word for father is. And then the guy answers Aramaic correctly. Charlie Kirk goes on to something else. But Charlie Kirk said something interesting. He said, I've come to give you life and give it to you more abundantly. So, what happened to Charlie Kirk is not giving you life and giving it to you more abundantly. And, it makes me question a lot of things that are in the Bible. The Bible has verses that talks about he reigns on the just and the unjust, but we're supposed to put our faith and trust in Christ and God. And the Old Testament says that he will protect us with angels. People are constantly praying with angels. And I saw one of Charlie Kirk's recent videos that says we need to venerate Mary more. He was kind of going along the Catholic side, I think, because his wife is Catholic. And his Catholic wife held rosary beads outside of the hearse as they were driving his body away. So I think, Charlie Kirk was a leader with a movement that had a lot of people. I mean, he did an amazing job, $200 million raised, this huge success story, really, coming from his garage. But, I really think that that a lot of what he said just wasn't necessarily true. I think the views behind it were true, like, transgenderism and the house, having the male in the house. But I think that a lot of these statistics that he used to make his point were skewed. Not to say that his points weren't valid, but they were skewed statistics in his favor. And I think a lot of people caught on to that. And I really think it hurt his movement. I really do, because, people were calling him a liar because he would bend and twist stats. He would say things that were not true. Like this instance, this is just one instance, to immediately dismiss this person and say, no, it's not. This shows that you're either not studied enough or he should have said, oh, is it? Well, he should have known what he was talking about if he asked that question. But when he asked the question, the guy gives him a factual answer, and then he says no. That just, to me, that just is something's wrong there, you know. So I don't know. I mean, I wonder how Charlie would think about, I've come to give you life and give it to you more abundantly, and then he gets shot and assassinated at a rally at a college in Utah. I really think Charlie thought that he was going to be around a lot longer, and I really think Charlie would have altered his methodologies in speaking if he would have known that he was actually going to be assassinated. I mean, I think it's pretty arrogant to have an event outside and have such lax security. I mean, I was told there wasn't even any metal detectors at the place. People could just walk up and go right in. I mean, you got to really take things seriously when you're talking on live about how people are, you know, you can't be walking in the street. People are going to come up and get in your face, or you might be shot for just wearing a MAGA hat. Then what on earth are you doing outside at a college event with no security? At least have some type of security in there. Have a screening for metal detectors or something, or have a sniper on the roof or some drones flying. At least something. But to have it open like that, tell you what. If I was as popular as Charlie Kirk and I had death threats all the time, I would be probably not speaking outside. That's just too much of a risk. It's too much of a hassle for your security team also. I would have it indoors. People come in, they get screened. You don't have to worry about a sniper sitting on the roof somewhere. Okay, the chances of you getting shot inside are a lot lower, certainly. And I would also have plexiglass in front of me and behind me, like in a cube or something. I mean, you know, you got to really think about people today. People today are unhinged. You know, it's not the same world we used to live in. So it's not a cowardly thing to do. It's a smart thing to do. If you want your message to continue and resonate and you want to be alive, then you need to take precautions. And Charlie Kirk, I think, got a little bit too much full of himself and really thought that he wasn't going to be touched. And he got touched in a big way. It's sad. It's very sad. But people are mourning, they're crying, they're weeping. I mean, I see on Twitter, people, I don't know how I slept last night. I didn't sleep at all. I've been crying for weeks. What on earth? I mean, I think people have really made men at such a high level their gods. He was an influential teacher, and what happened to him was terrible. It was a tragedy. But weeping and crying over somebody you don't even know, that's really putting somebody up at a high level that shouldn't be there in your mind. That's wrong. Something's wrong in the world. And I think that's the problem is on the right, they prop this guy up to be this God man kind of thing at a high level. And then the left sees this, and then they get triggered. I mean, when you talk about the right, I've been crying for a week. I can't eat. Every time I look at my children, I cry. I mean, this is really, that's really going above and beyond, I think, normality. And then the left sees the right just holding these people at such a high regard, and then they take them out, you know. So bad thing all the way around. I don't want to speak negatively about his assassination. It was terrible. Nobody should have to be assassinated, especially you got kids and wife and kids. That's just terrible. But you can see that he wasn't really that truthful in a lot of his conversations. I noticed that. And when you fact check him, a lot of that, what he says just wasn't true. And then he would act like it was true. And then, I mean, people wouldn't fact check him. So this is a classic example of that. But, you know, Christianity, it's like, it doesn't really matter if you're a Christian or not. God's not going to protect you like the Bible says it's going to protect you. Just not. People get taken out. You go do dumb stuff. You mess around, you're going to find out kind of thing. A lot of people think that Michael, the archangel, is guiding them and protecting them. Well, what about all the starving kids and people, little children that are dying and get murdered and raped? Are you more special than them? No. So a lot of the people in the Bible got murdered and martyred, and you know, they just had horrific endings. And you know, I think people just like Charlie, he was always running around talking about God, and I really don't think that he thought in a million years that something like this would happen to him. I just don't. And if he did, think about it, like really seriously. If he could go back in time, he wouldn't have chosen to be taken out like this. He would have put up all kinds of precautions, or he would have canceled his events. So it's a tragedy all the way around. But people need to wake up. Okay, if you are going to go outside and speak outside like this, you need to be behind plexiglass. Okay, at the minimum, drones flying overhead, scouting out thermal drones that can scout out heat, a sniper on the roof scouting all over, checking out rooftops. Okay, but why would you do that anyway? Why would you put yourself in a position like that? Speak in an auditorium. You can get the numbers in there. People would probably be better off in there anyway. It starts raining. You don't have to worry about the rain. You don't have to worry about the heat. I just don't get it. I just see this as just a terrible tragedy that didn't need to happen. But as far as fact checking a lot of Charlie Kirk stuff, like I said, I never really paid much attention to him that much. I mean, I like some of his stuff, but when I start looking at some of his stuff, I fact checked it and it's just not true. A lot of it's just not true. So, I'm not sticking up for the liberal side. They're crazy as a outhouse rat. But, when you're on the conservative side, you got to be speaking facts. Otherwise, you're just going to drag down the movement.
Our Hebrew word of the day is
Abba.
Father. Let's say it together. Abba.
Okay, what's the Hebrew word for father?
Man, let me tell you something. Abba.
I'm sorry?
Abba.
That's the Greek word for father.